game. Syracuse comes back. They storm back. They win it 42-38. They oust Miami, not just from the ACC title game, but forever having a shot at making the 12-team playoff. And they celebrate the fact that they were able to get Dabo Swinney and Clemson into the ACC title game. I thought that was probably the most distasteful thing that came out of all of it. The loss hurt. It was weird to watch other teams and other coaches parade for Dabo Swinney. What the hell was that about?
That was odd.
Right? I've never seen anything like that. I'm just glad I can help Dabo get in. What?
What's his name? Fran Brown?
Fran Brown. Like, I respected this man.
Yeah, he doesn't shower if he loses a football game.
Right.
I love that man.
That was weak. That was soft. Well, I'm just so happy I can help you, Dabo. All right. If there was one game I would be able to change, it would be that game. That game, if Miami just pulls out the victory, it's not asking a lot. If Miami's defense is able to hold off Syracuse and win that game, it would change so many things about the way we talked about this college football season, the way we view Cam Ward as an NFL prospect, and really for the Miami football program going forward in the ACC. Number one, that win prevents us from having to have Clemson in a down year where the ACC was wide open, yet again claim an ACC championship. I hate that this ACC title is going to go, when you look at the trophy case and you look at the Dabo Swinney run and the Clemson dominance over the conference, I don't like that they are going to be able to credit that one almost aligned with all the other ones where they were decisively the best team in the conference. This year, it felt like they were the third, maybe fourth best team, and because of Miami's slip-ups at the end, they end up ACC champions. Like, I hate that part of it. But also, Cam Ward had this big story come out. I believe, what was it? The Associated Press put it out after he wrapped up his quarterback of the year, Davey O'Brien Award, trophy campaign. The AP comes out and it talks about how Cam Ward says this one line that is going to resonate with me for a while. Remember the Pop-Tart Bowl, C-Cat?
Of course. Cam Ward took himself out of the game, did he?
Cam Ward and the coaching staff agreed ahead of Miami's Pop-Tart Bowl, which, again, doesn't happen if Miami beats Syracuse. Ahead of Miami's Pop-Tart Bowl, Cam Ward, who was a couple of touchdowns away from an NCAA record, he agreed with the coaching staff. He would just play the first half. It was long enough to get him the record. He sat in the second half and gave Miami a chance to see Emory Williams throw the ball around and go out and try and win what is, at best, an exhibition of the Pop-Tart Bowl. The Canes end up losing that game by 1, and it comes out afterwards that there's all of this hate, this disdain for Cam Ward. They say he quit on his team. They say he's not a competitor. He's a selfish guy. All of that just to try and take down what we watched this year. I can't believe that's the lasting image of Cam Ward in a Miami Hurricane uniform. That feels like robbery from what was an elite, electric, and best quarterback season in any year from a Hurricane quarterback. He broke all the records with Xavier Restrepo, right? He also played his way from being a 6th-round draft pick, that's what they were valuing him as before he decided to come back to college football, into potentially the number 1 overall pick in this coming NFL draft. For all of the great that Cam Ward did and exuded in a Miami Hurricane uniform, that was the lasting image. And I think that that's a disservice to the college football fans at large, but also Miami Hurricanes like myself. Right? Like, that's his last time wearing a Hurricane uniform.
Yes, and honestly, I was speaking from a non-biased college football observer. I would have rather have seen Cam Ward in Miami in the college football playoff. I'm not really, and I don't love Miami. I'm not the biggest hater of Miami either, but I would rather see Miami than either of the two SMU or the ACC teams, like SMU and Clemson.
And I think that was going to be my third point to make right there. Whether you love or hate the Miami Hurricanes, number one, their brand is stronger than that of a Clemson and then that of a SMU. But also, they had the number 1 offense in the nation. They were a joy and a thrill to watch. And because of that high-octane offense and really the porous defense, they were going to put on a show. And no matter which of those matchups they would have landed in, if it was against, maybe let's just say if they slotted into where Tennessee was even, and they had to play in Ohio State, they would have scored. Like, Ohio State would have scored too, but they would have put up some points. They would have put on a show, and instead of Tennessee getting blown out 42-17.
And you know what? For the Florida fan, for the Florida State fan that absolutely hates Miami, for the Notre Dame fan, for anyone who hates Miami, of which there are many, you weren't watching that game. You weren't watching Miami-Syracuse. You couldn't relish in the season crumbling to a dust. You would have been watching Miami's first-round playoff game.
Exactly that, too. Because Miami matters so much to the public sphere, like because Miami, whether they're good or bad, people either enjoy their wins or celebrate their losses. To get that on the main stage would have been a lot more, like, I don't want to say tasty. That's a weird word to use for it, but it would have been a lot more, is that it? You like tasty?
No, it was uncomfortable as a Penn State fan watching Penn State crush SMU.
Yeah,
it would be a lot more fun for Penn State to crush Miami.
Because you're punching down and you're playing SMU in these early years of Rhett last year, their first year in the ACC. They're not ready yet for a Big Ten team in the college football playoff. Miami, though, would have at least acted as if they were ready before they got slugged out there by the Nittany Lions.
That's like the best case scenario for me, a Penn State fan. That's not a good scenario for the world because you'd rather have a good game or you get one of the 12 best teams in the playoff.
Yeah. And you put that squad and a Cam Ward-led squad against one of these programs, we would have got a much more thrilling outcome, more high. And again, my issue with all of this is more so the Canes did it to themselves. Like, if I felt as if Syracuse was that good to where, you know, again, they were a good football team, but they were that good to where it's like, oh, you lost to Cuse, and that's what happens. No, the Canes did it to themselves, and that loss worked to the detriment of us as a college football viewing nation, not just a Miami Hurricane fan. Getting to see the best quarterback in the nation this year play in the college football playoff would have been a win for everybody. Getting to see a Miami Hurricane brand play against the Penn State or against an Ohio State in the opening round would have been a great data point in history for either of those teams if they come out on the winning side. Everybody wins in those situations. The one bit of good it did do would be SMU gets to say they played in the college football playoffs, right? Like, that's good for Rhett Lashley.
Yes, because any of these teams that were left out of the playoff that might have the perception that they are better than SMU, they wouldn't pound their chest at being a one and done in the playoffs as much as SMU's able to pound their chest versus other ACC Big 12 schools.
They are. And SMU's going to, they're probably going to hang a banner over what they were able to accomplish, and maybe they should because that was really great. And again, they were great back in the 80s, 90s, but again, just like the Canes, that was when they was doing a little pay-for-play, baby.
Yeah, and with Miami, if you're going to show your ass, if you're going to absolutely let down both your fan base and America, at least do it on a grand stage.
Yes, that it sucked to have that happen against Syracuse. The Hurricanes, and I've admitted this, even though I tease Cowboys fans all the time, being from Houston, Texas, and also just being a non-Cowboy fan, it's a really easy, low-hanging fruit. The Miami Hurricanes are college football's version of the Dallas Cowboys. And what do the Dallas Cowboys do? They lose when the lights are the brightest. They lose on the big stage, so we all get to point the finger and laugh and enjoy the discomfort of the fan base who had all these high expectations, got all riled up. This is our year. We are back to only be dethroned when the lights are the brightest. We didn't even get to have that with the Miami Hurricanes. Instead, it happened in the Pop-Tart Bowl, and this is why I say the Canes are one of the 5 biggest brands in college football. I don't think Cam Ward gets that much level of hate, that much level of scrutiny over what he did in the Pop-Tart Bowl if he wasn't wearing a Canes uniform. Like, you can tell me that the program has been down for 20 years or more. You can tell me that they'll never be good again. You can also rain on our parade. But just like with the Dallas Cowboys, how their brand reigns supreme, every time they're starting to make a push, everybody starts locking in and paying attention. It matters when they're bad, and it matters when they're good. That is the Miami Hurricanes, more so than Florida State, more so than the Florida Gators. You can go 10 years without winning and people would not blink an eye. But when it's the Canes, it just means more for better or for worse. And damn it, the last 20 years have been for much worse. But it would have been great to see them at least have a shot in the 12-team playoff this year. If there's one football game I would have changed the outcome for, it wouldn't be the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. It wouldn't even be that Bills game in the regular season for my Kansas City Chiefs that had everybody parading Josh Allen as the MVP because he ran a touchdown in. It would be Syracuse, Miami, November 30th, Give the Canes the win.